What makes a great game? Or better yet, for this channel, what makes a great RPG? Is it the fantastical, great storytelling, or is it just a game with the highest appeal to the general public? I've spent close to 30 years of my life playing games, everything from Pong on the Atari all the way to the modern wonders like Elden Ring, God of War, and even as much as I wouldn't like to admit it to a certain friend, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And while I don't always agree with every game I'm told should be great, I still respect the art. But I'm always left wondering, what makes a great game? Hopefully, by the end of this script, even I will know. One of the things I mentioned in the intro was good RPGs need to be fantastical in one way or another, but we've seen through the years that's not always the case. Take into account games like Shadow Hearts, Kingdoms of Amalur, and even Forspoken. All games set in fantastical worlds with great magic systems and plenty to discover, but each failed in their own way. Some due to mistimed drop dates, some to fatigue and political backlash, and others even to bad advertisements before release. I know that could be just a fluke in the gaming world. One could write all of this stuff off as a case of too many games dropping in an oversaturated marketplace. But if that was true, indie darlings like Hollow Knight, Binding of Isaac, and even Undertale would not have been able to break their chains as they had and risen to classic status so fast. So it has to be great storytelling then, right? Undertale has great story, that it's its leading factor. But again, we can look back at Kingdoms of Amalur, which was written by one of the world's most prolific authors in R.A. Salvatore. Just to give him a bit of credence, he is the reason that the D&D book series, The Forgotten Realms, has so many books, and he created one of the most iconic characters from the setting in Drizzt Do'Urden. For those of you who know, you know how important that setting has been. Anyway, he wrote the story to Kingdoms of Amalur, and while it got re-released and everything, it was considered a massive flop in gaming circles. Unlike with Elden Ring, when people heard that George R.R. Martin was going to write the story, which caused a multitude of Game of Thrones fans to rush the game, Kingdoms of Amalur had no such boost when fans of R.A. Salvatore heard that he was slotted to write the entire story of said game. Well, we have discussed the fantastical and storytelling a bit. That means all that's left is the mass appeal. Like, someone did the calculations and distilled down the most common factor that would appeal to most gamers, and that's how they make a great game. However, if that was the case, then why are so many massive AAA studios these days closing and making some of the most panned games in the history of gaming? You would think that they, of all people, would have the secret formulas down, right? Well, no. EA was just bought out by Saudi Arabia, Activision and Blizzard both got bought by Microsoft, and Tencent had to save Ubisoft due to these titans not making games that the players wanted, filled with divisive statements that caused a miniature war in the gaming world. And as gamers, we know that war never changes. So if it's none of these things mentioned before, then what makes a great game? Breaking this down could be hard, and I might miss some things. If you have a grasp on it, please let me know in the comments below. This whole question began burning in my head when I started playing 2 games recently. One, my editor Mons got me to try, in a small game that only those of you who have joined my audience from said game have probably heard of, and that is Limbus Company. Do I consider this a great game? Personally, it has some of the best storytelling I have seen in gaming in a long time. It is set in a fantastical city where all sorts of crazy things can happen, and it's only passed on from word of mouth because its advertisements are done by people who are already playing the game. In my opinion, it's the best game I've played that came out in 2023, and yes, that means even better than Baldur's Gate 3, which is a powerhouse in its own right. The other game I have been playing and have already platinumed is Final Fantasy Tactics. As a game that originally came out in 1997, the same year as Final Fantasy VII came out, and a game I can always go back to and play, no matter how old it is. Again, all 3 metrics that I mentioned in the intro are here. However, unlike Kingdoms of Amalur, which had great storytelling, but bored me, or Forspoken, which had a political story that pushed modern politics down people's throats in a very on-the-nose way, Final Fantasy Tactics told a story of political intrigue that made me care about the characters. Every new twist could be contextualized in and analyzed. Every new betrayal is understood through the character's development that you see on screen. To me, Final Fantasy Tactics is like an old book that I have read 200 times, but even though I still remember its winding storytelling, I can always return to its pages to enjoy it again. Honestly, I think the problem that divides most of us is that we listen to the wrong people. Those who rate games based on stuff that could matter but don't. Hell, even I did the same thing when I tried rating if Black Myth Wukong was a good game or not. We listen to people who break our favorite games into categories like gameplay, graphics, story, sound, and replay value on whether or not the game is good. Let's face it, some of the games we have given the most praise recently fail in some way or another when it comes to any one of these factors, but we still love to play them. Why? And another why that I have to ask is, why do we keep letting ourselves believe, because it's a game company that we liked in the past, that we should just give them prompts and think that their games will be good? Don't take me as a fool. I know that we each have our own subjective take on what makes a good game. I can't tell you what makes a good RPG in your opinion, because you are you. Just like you can't tell me what I think will be a good game. When it comes to this particular topic, there are some things that are just objectively true. I'm about to lay out my heart here, guys, so I ask that you don't stomp on it. There are games that I can't stand that are objectively good. They meet all of the requirements of a good game. They have rabid fan bases that will defend them to the end like soldiers on the battlefield. They are games that no matter how hard I try to play them, I probably will never beat them or bring myself to care enough to finish. And there are games I know are good that put my ass to sleep when playing them. I can respect that Hollow Knight is a good game. It puts me to sleep when I play it. I know that Baldur's Gate 3 is a great game created by a great studio. In fact, I have beat Divinity 2 so many times I should probably talk to somebody about it. But for Baldur's Gate 3, I couldn't care enough to beat it. It puts me to sleep while playing it. As for me, I like Elden Ring. It's objectively a good game by all standards that we measure games up to be. But it has its detractors. I like Limbus Company, and I know plenty of people who will shit on it due to the fact that it's a gacha game. But I care way more what happens to Sinclair than I do to what happens to anyone in Baldur's Gate. Other than maybe our favorite cinnamon roll in Karlach. I'm starting to think, like with a lot of different things that have happened in the world, that it's more of a lack of respect for other people's opinions that lead us to thinking that games are bad. I mean, they're objectively bad games. In fact, I defended one myself for far too long in Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance that came out in 2021. But on the same hand, just because someone don't like a game doesn't make it a bad game. Just because a story doesn't resonate with you, it's not a bad RPG. And even if the story is not told in a way you don't like, don't make the game a bad game either. We all have our own reasons to play games, and everyone has different reasons to love the games that they play. People of a like mind grow the game communities of these games, and each game has merit if it has an audience to support it. Except E.T., any game that can single-handedly crash the gaming industry needs to be forgotten. Or I guess, not. We don't want history to repeat itself and get another game crash. This is called foreshadowing, kids, but that's for another video. Anyway, guys, that's my video. When it comes to what makes a great game, in particular, a great RPG, it comes down to the taste of the consumer. Not every story is going to resonate with every player, but as a community of gamers, we do need to start respecting others' choices for what their favorite games are more, because even games like Hello Kitty Island Adventure have a purpose in the gaming world. If you think I got something wrong, let me know in the comments section below. If you like what I do here, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you're feeling extra excited about the content, We have a membership and Amazon and affiliate links in the description, along with a Discord. With all that being said, remember guys, be good to each other. See you in the next video. Peace.